Europe affects us in our everyday lives now in Europeans.
Human trafficking is now a global business. Multilingual posters warn travellers arriving into the UK that the person they are meeting could be a trafficker. It's estimated that at any one time around 2.5 million men, women and children are victims of trafficking. It's now the biggest source of criminal earnings after arms and drugs. The victims include women such as Sarah, who was tricked into leaving Africa with promises of work, only to be forced into prostitution in Italy. She cannot be identified because of fears of reprisals.
I was deceived. I had a girlfriend over there that told me that her sister has a company here where she makes clothes and they gain a lot of money. So I said, okay, I'll come. Then I came. The next thing I saw, she took me to the road and said I should go and walk over there. I cried and cried. No! I get a lot of beating. They beat a hell out of me.
This video was recently released by the human rights organisation the Council of Europe as part of its campaign against human trafficking. In addition, the European Parliament has called on Brussels to raise awareness of the issue across the EU. The Council wants more countries to sign its Convention on Action Against Trafficking in Human Beings, which requires states to protect trafficking victims.
A human being is not for sale.
Un être humain n'est pas à vendre.
The Council's Deputy Secretary-General says the Convention proposes victims receive care and support to allow for a period of reflection.
Victims are traumatized. They need time to decide whether they want to cooperate with the police, how they can cooperate, what it means in terms of their own personal life. So time is needed for that. So I think a 30 days period minimum is the minimum required.
The UK is one of the countries which has yet to sign the convention. The Home Office, or Interior Affairs Minister with responsibility for policy on human trafficking, explains why.
The problem is, of course, that we know this from our experience, that people will try to use and abuse the immigration system in order, and we just have to make sure that in trying to help one group who need our help and deserve our support and are entitled to make sure that their human rights are protected and honoured, that though in seeking to do that, we don't at the same time open up a loophole.
But the trafficking officer for the campaigning organisation Anti-Slavery International says that this is not the case.
There hasn't been any evidence, and I've been talking to people who are from the countries that operate a reflection period that goes beyond the 30 days that are set as a minimum in the Council of Europe Convention, and there isn't any evidence of people misusing it.
The British Home Office, or Interior Ministry, insists, however, that temporary residence permits and reflection periods are offered on a case-by-case basis.
The question is, should they be automatic? And what we're making sure is that if we do grant this as an automatic entitlement, it doesn't conflict with our immigration law.
Italy has also seen an increase in human trafficking. Many victims are women forced to work as prostitutes. But here, foreign nationals in situations of abuse or severe exploitation are entitled to a renewable residence permit if they participate in a social assistance and integration programme. This includes help in finding employment, further education or job training. Sarah hopes her experience might prevent others from getting into this situation.
They shouldn't be deceived like as I was deceived. Many have come here and see, but they used to say that if you don't come, you won't believe. But as I'm sitting down here, it's not that they paid me or something like that. This is my experience, the hell I've been to.
On the Road is Italy's leading non-governmental organisation working with victims of human trafficking. It was set up in the Adriatic town of Montesicuro in the early 1990s in response to an increase in prostitution and trafficking in the region. This team, for example, gives multilingual information packs and telephone helplines directly to women working as prostitutes. Between 1998 and 2004, more than 3,800 renewable residence permits were granted to trafficking victims in Italy. On the Road's coordinator insists safeguards are in place to prevent abuse of these permits.
In the small number of cases where people have not kept to their obligations under the program, the organization in question has informed the police, and the police withdrew the residency permit. Therefore, the danger that a system of this type could create an easy route for illegal immigrants into a country like Italy or other European countries, I really don't think this exists.
The chief of the Italian Police Regional Immigration Office says organisations like On the Road are fundamental to their work.
The associations work as mediators, and through them we can have closer contact with the victims. It's a process that lets the victims decide for themselves whether they want to make a complaint about the type of violence they've suffered, and then to give information to the police that allows the investigation to proceed.
On the Road is always available to help victims of trafficking, no matter where they come from. Many women from Africa, however, are threatened with black magic to stop them trying to escape. Sarah says their captors take samples of blood and clothing, but she urges them to ignore such threats and seek help.
And those that have opportunity for somebody to help them, they should not be afraid. I did it, but I'm alive. I'm here. It's not that they will die. They should not be afraid of those things they take from them, that they will use it for magic. It doesn't work to get money.
Sarah is now settled and working in Italy, thanks to the support she received.
House rent, feeding. I can remember when I came here, I was terrified of fear. I couldn't even breathe, but On the Road helped me out of that fear.
We're talking about victims of trafficking, and not simply illegal immigrants. People who have suffered a violation of their fundamental human rights. We have a responsibility to try to help them find a proper life here, if they want, or in their country of origin. But when they show that they want to go back, we have to help that person to have real opportunities.
Trafficking is slavery, and for an organization which defends human rights of each and every individual, we cannot accept that this slavery continues under our jurisdiction.
26 countries have already signed the convention and are now expected to ratify its measures into law. The empty spaces are ready and waiting for other states to follow.